Right, so today I want to make a video about this story from the Toronto Sun, and it's titled Refugees Will Cost Toronto Taxpayers $75 million this year. And this is a story, and I already made a video very recently about the individual refugee shelter that will cost $1 million a year, and this looking like a total coming to 75 million. So let's read a little bit about it, and then I'll give some commentary. So when it's all said and done this year, Toronto taxpayers will spend $75 million to accommodate refugees and asylum seekers, the Toronto Sun has confirmed. And city spokesman Tammy Robinson said Thursday service demand and the $75 million price tag will be similar in 2020. To make the city budget matters worse, I learned that the much touted $45 million given by the federal government to the city of Toronto to help pay for the flow of refugees to the city will run out in March. The $75 million is a far cry from the $45 million that the mayor and council said would be enough to cover the flow of refugees to the city later this year. In late June, I was told that the budget for the hotel motel accommodation was $46.4 million with 2,600 refugees in the system at that point. And Robinson confirmed the $75 million does not include the $1 million per month that's being shelled out to house the 200 refugees at the former North York Hydro building on Yonge Street. That would bring next year's tab to $87 million. So it's actually $87 million. Now, I'm not going to read any more of the article. Like I said, it's from the Toronto Sun. You can read more about it if you want. They just put it out yesterday, I believe. So go read it more if you want. And basically, yeah, it was published on November 29th at 8:46 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So basically, the point of the video being is that number one, you have all these people on the left who they want this kind of stuff. And the first thing I'll bring up is that you have some people in some of these videos that when I cite this kind of stuff, they always say like, oh, where's the evidence? Where's your evidence? Where's your evidence? Even not completely ignoring the fact that I've made videos about it before providing evidence. And videos like this are even more evidence that if refugees are such a good thing for society financially wise, that's completely ignoring the diversity part of it. But if they're well financially or economically wise, well then stories like this shouldn't exist because it would be, it would cost them, 87 million, but then it's going to be more than made up through taxes and whatnot. But it isn't because a lot of these people are coming. I mean, they're low skilled on average, so even if they are working, it's most likely like minimum wage or close to minimum wage jobs. So they're paying very little to pretty much nothing in taxes. So they're not even coming close to offsetting the difference. And that's the point I wanted to make, is that we already have homelessness problems in pretty much every major Canadian city. We have poverty. We have people who are living paycheck to paycheck. Like there's so many people out there that they're living paycheck to paycheck, and why not spend some of this money to help these people? Like it doesn't make any sense. And the main reason that the left is doing it is to virtue signal, which is to basically, I mean, I don't know the exact definition, but the definition that I take from it is to appear as doing morally and ethically good things when in reality it's not. Basically, it is in a way, but it isn't also in the fact that it costs a lot less to resettle refugees closer to their home countries, and yet the left doesn't want to do that. They want to bring them halfway across the world to a culture and a climate that they're not even close to accustomed to. So it makes no sense from a logical perspective. And the main reason that the high-end people on the left, and I mean even a lot of the leftist voters want them, is that they're leftist voters. And even if you want to argue that they won't be leftist voters in the here and now, which is true to an extent, a lot of them either become citizens very soon or they vote illegally. And the other thing being is that even if let's just assume that not one of them votes, well, they're going to have kids. They have a lot more kids than the average Canadian. And those kids are going to obviously become citizens, and they're going to vote. And they're really in it for the long game. And that's one thing That's one thing about the left that's better than the right, is that they do plan this stuff out better, and the left is heavily collectivist, right? Like they're willing to sacrifice individuals for the collective, and for the simple example that they're perfectly fine with the refugees on average committing more crime. I mean, welfare benefits them, so it doesn't really matter to them, but they're fine. Like, I mean, rape in Sweden, like I said, is off the charts. They're fine with that kind of stuff because it means more votes for them in the future. So, I think I've talked enough about this topic. I wanted to make a little shorter video about this, but this is just another example on top of the tons of examples that go to show refugees are a net drain on society. And basically, to make my position clear on this kind of stuff, I wish we could help the refugees. Like, I really do, but we don't have the money. Like, people on the left have this idea that money is infinite, that, you know, if you don't, that they think that money is infinite, and therefore the only reason that you would be against paying out massive amounts of money to these people is that you're racist or you're just mean. In reality, you just understand that money is finite and resources are finite, and we currently, and there's no debating this, we don't even have enough to maintain the standard that we're currently living. And it's going to get worse before it gets better, because if you can't maintain the way you're currently going, putting the problem off is only going to make it worse down the road, not better. And that's what the left is doing. And the conservatives, at least the federal conservatives, are supporting this kind of stuff, and it needs to change, and too many people don't really recognize it, and it's something that it needs to be understood, because we're going down a very dark path in Canada, and if we don't figure this stuff out soon, and again, I'm not going to say the whole, if we don't figure this out in 10 or 12 years, like the climate change people do, things are going to go belly up, but things will go belly up at some point if we keep going down this road. And all you need to do is understand basic math, and for the simple part that, you know, we're spending more money than we're spending more money year after year after year after year than we make. And if you're willing to argue that, I mean, like I say, if continually spending more and more money year after year after year isn't sustainable, well, then we need to cut back. But there's no way of convincing your typical leftist voter, or even a lot of right-wing voters, to be fair, of that, because you have your boomers who are going to fight tooth and nail to keep their pensions and their free health care. The pensions are funded a little bit better than the health care. Like free health care is something that's not going to exist in the future. So take advantage of it now. It won't exist in the future. By the time the millennials are dead, I would bet a lot of money that there won't be free healthcare at least the way it currently is. And then, like I say, you have the option of admitting that how we're living now is unsustainable, or the second option would be is that it's sustainable. But if it's sustainable, well, then why not just give everyone $1 million? Like, why not? If massive amounts of debt isn't going to be catastrophic at some point, well, then why not do more? Like, we have poor people. Why not just buy them a house, buy them, you know, a credit card so they can buy food and stuff? Like, why not just do that? But you understand that's something that, like, only like 5-6-year-olds would actually legitimately argue for. So, I mean, that's crazy. Like, even people on the left know that they probably won't admit it, because they fall into that trap, at least not to the extent I just described, but close to it. But everyone knows that. Everyone with a brain knows that. So I'm going to leave it there. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.